Hey everybody, this is Adam and welcome back to the Garage Gym Experiment podcast where we are diving deep into the garage gym scene. Jake is with us and we've got Curtis, aka the Kurt Locker, tonight. Kurt, what's going on, man?
Kurt says, hey.
Kurt says, hey. It's good to have you back, man. We love having you on. Today we're going to discuss Rogue's new releases within the past week or so. Aries versus plate-loaded lat pull-down with price in mind. Some which one battles like Rep or Titan. Echo Bike versus Concept 2 Rower. And then just a repeat from last year, which is where do you own your equipment from? So with that, Jake, take it away.
Thank you, Adam. And let's start off with Rogue has been busy. So as most of you already know, they've released several multi-grip bars, a larger rack, made some adjustments to some of their bars and such. And then just like within the last 7 or 10 days, they've released 3 items we have on the screen. So the CB4 Buffalo Bar, TF1, which is for like those toe raises, kind of a hot movement right now.
Chicks dig big tibs. Sorry.
Thanks, Adam. Yes, they do. So yeah, that's hot. Pretty similar to some other, I would say, hot items out there. That's kind of an interesting move by them. And then the Rogue CT-1X2 cable tower, which is an upgrade from their latest version. To me, it seems like 2020 and 2021 have been good years for Rogue, and they have had quite a bit of funds to do some new projects. I'd be curious to hear your guys' thoughts on these 3 items and then just the fact that they've released so much so far this year.
Yeah, so with these, I guess I'll just go in order. So start with the Buffalo Bar. I guess I really wasn't too surprised after watching the Arnold and the strongmen were all squatting on the, they had a different name for it. Why can I not remember the name of it? Because it was named after,
what was it?
It was Terry Todd. It was named after Terry Todd. You looking it up real quick? You're smarter than me.
I'm going to try.
Well, either way, I wasn't too surprised. So after watching the strongmen working through that bar on the monolift, I wasn't that surprised to see it come out, but I was surprised to see how quickly it came out. And I got to say that it is really nice looking, and I dig it. And the price point is definitely there. And the shipping is really where Rogue is going to pull ahead of competitors as far as an American-made quality camber bar, or I'm sorry, a Buffalo-style bar. As for the TF1, the TF1's really cool, so we got to get that tibialis. One little thing about the TF1, though, this is a really popular thing for runners, especially for runners that are having any sort of shin splint issues. And this is a unique thing. So people that do swimming and running, so people that are doing triathlons, those kind of events, what's really unique is when you swim, you actually get that flexion, that dorsal flexion of your ankle. So your tibialis is getting hit. So those athletes tend to have a little bit less shin splint issues as far as their running is concerned. So actually kind of a unique and cool thing. I'm not sure if you'll see one in my gym, but still for those that, run might be something they want to look at, especially if shin splints plague them. And then for the cable tower, it just looks great. I think that this is just going with Rogue is really targeting that commercial environment. And I think it was Reflex that they had acquired way back in the day, not way back, a couple years ago, rather. And what's really cool about this is it's the Rogue CT1X2, which is basically the double pulley single tower, but they also have the double tower, which is like 2 CT1s put together, which is cool because I recall in a gym that I built previously, we had made plans to buy 2 CT1 towers and just place them in that exact same manner. So it's cool to see Rogue really kind of making the commercial gym equipment have to try a little bit harder to keep up with them.
Yeah, they all look like they have that great Rogue quality. I mean, that Buffalo Bar looks awesome. The tib, the TF1, I'm really excited about. I was looking for something similar. I've been doing some movements in the gym to try to replicate that. So the bands don't really work. It doesn't keep like the tension on it the whole time, especially like consistent tension. So I've been doing like a tib flex with a dumbbell on top, like lifting my knee, and that's been okay, but I would really prefer something like that. So I was excited to see that one come out. All the cable towers get me excited. I think they're really cool, especially like to bring into your home gym if you're at that point in the building out process. And again, it looks very Rogue quality. So yeah, really cool stuff. And it's also really cool because, Rep came out with all of their new toys and their big release. And it seems like I don't know if Rogue had this one in the back pocket and they just started sprinkling in some new releases as well. So as a consumer, it's just nice to sit back and see everything come out.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they just didn't do as much forecasting or showcasing their upcoming releases like Rhett did. They must have had this in the back of their hand. Is that the right phrase? Whatever. But
Gotcha.
I did also notice that the cable tower is recommended to have a 10 by 10 space. So I think it's larger than most people realize. So to me, it's definitely one of those things that is recommended for the commercial gym. And it's also, I'm looking it up right now, it's 107.5 inches. So it's pretty tall.
That's great, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Let's see. I had a follow-up question, I thought. Oh, one other thing is, like, most of these items are going out of stock ASAP. So, I mean, they're having no problem selling these new items, which is pretty interesting. Kurt, do you think you'll grab that Buffalo bar?
So I'm actually super conflicted on this. And I guess I'll introduce this now. We could talk about it later. But I'm trying to, for no reasons that are negative, realistically, I'm trying to make the first rogue-free garage gym. So it really pisses me off that they come out with a Buffalo bar like this right now. I do have a Duffalo bar, but I really want the 38 mil Buffalo bar. One, I'm really looking forward to Brandon Campbell Diamond's video. Basement Brandon's doing a comparison video when he gets one between the Duffalo and that. And if it's something that he thinks is different enough for me to want to get, I'll likely pick one up. But other than that, I think they're really awesome. I think it's really cool. It sucks for me because Rogue, I could save shipping completely and just drive up and pick it up. But yeah, not this year, probably.
Hey, Curtis, what's the thickness on the Duffalo bar? 38 seems very thick.
It is 32 mils.
Okay.
So it is 6 mils thicker.
Yeah. Does it have the same
girthier.
knurling pattern with the center knurling and like all the way out to the end, like this Buffalo from Rogue? Okay.
The Rogue one and the Kabuki one seem to cut off in all the exact same spots. There's a center break for the center knurl. There's a break where it enters the sleeve. The Rogue one may be a little bit further knurl towards the sleeve. But like I said, I'm really just looking forward to Basement Brandon's comparison video of this.
I wasn't sure I was going to bring this up, but I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day. They wanted my opinion on a couple of these products are definitely things that Kabuki is very well known for, with the Buffalo bar and then the Cambered multi-grip bar. And Kabuki, from what they've made it sound like, they've made it clear that they want to start doing some facilities. So do you think that has anything to do with Rogue trying to say, oh, they're going into our turf, maybe we should start playing with these specialty bars? I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but it's just something to keep in mind. And maybe not, maybe yes, maybe no, but that would be a nice little chat to have.
I agree. Yeah, I wonder what the actual cash flow is comparison between Kabuki and Rogue. There's going to be a significant difference there. I can't imagine that Kabuki would take too much from the bottom line. Although I will say that I would posit that most gyms, most facilities that are going to look at Kabuki stuff, they're looking at Kabuki stuff for very specific reasons. So even if Rogue does make similar items, I really don't know how much Rogue is going to take away from Kabuki and how much Kabuki is going to take away from Rogue.
Yeah, I don't think too much, but something that somebody brought up to me and I was kind of curious. All right, I think that does it for the Rogue. Let's move on to some survey data. So a few weeks ago, actually, so it's been a little bit, but we asked, and it was right before the Aries was released, actually. So we asked, basically, would you be more interested in adding something like the Aries, stack weight option, a little bit more versatility, or something like a plate loaded option for a much lower price? So level of interest in the Aries for over $2,000, or something like a plate loaded rack attachment for like $550. So with cost in mind, there was a decent amount more interest in the plate loaded option than something like the Aries for $2,000 or higher. With that being said, only 29% expressed high interest in the plate loaded option versus 18% for the Aries. So in general, it seems like something that not everyone's going to be adding to their home gym. I think like most of us, when you're looking at the general population, aren't too surprised about this. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Like, yes, they are cable attachments, and the Aries does give you the lat pull and low row, but I think the biggest draw for the Aries is like the two-sided functional tower that you get out of it. Definitely comparable though, and I would say that I thought that the data that we received back from the loaded lat and low row, the numbers seemed a little low. I thought they would be a little bit higher with the price point listed on there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's move on to the which one battles, I guess you can call them. So we basically asked about a number of different matchups, you could say, and you simply needed to say which one you preferred. So a couple of examples you can see on the screen were Echo Bike versus C2 Rower, Rogue Rack versus Rep Rack with cost in mind, Garage Gym versus Basement Gym, and there were more. So let's move to the results. So on the screen, you can see the chart with all of the matchups. I'll go quickly over all of them, and then we have some additional data to chat about. But I'll start from bottom to top. So that's the closest matchup, which was the Rogue Echo Bike beating out the Concept 2 with about 53% of the votes. This is one that we see go back and forth, and we keep asking it, but in general, it's pretty close to 50-50 each time. Next, Power Bar over the Multi-Purpose Bar, about 54% versus 46% vote for the Power Bar. One pair of adjustable dumbbells beats out any 3 pairs of hex dumbbells, if you could choose, with about 56%, so relatively close, so 56 versus 44%. With cost in mind, the more expensive Rogue Rack received more votes than the Rep Rack with 57%. Powerlifting over bodybuilding, 62% of the votes went to powerlifting. Garage gyms over basement gyms with 71% of the votes. Power rack over half rack, 74%. Powerlifting over ollie lifting, 74% goes to powerlifting. So just 26% goes to ollie lifting. Stall mats easily beat deadlift platforms. Rep dominated Titan with 82% of the votes. And then dumbbells over kettlebells was the biggest discrepancy in votes. So the dumbbells had 85% versus just 15% for kettlebells. So we did all but one of these in 2021. So how did that change? We had 2 flip-flops. So last time the Echo Bike lost to the Concept 2 Rower, but this time the Rogue Echo Bike wins. So like we mentioned, flip-flop. And then last time in 2021, the 3 pairs of hex dumbbells beat out the any pair of adjustable dumbbells. So that's kind of a trend that we've noticed as well, where adjustable dumbbells seem to be getting a little bit more popular, especially with the introduction of Nuobells, and Power Block continues to steadily improve their product over the last few years. Next up, those that grew their lead the most included the stall mats over deadlift platform, powerlifting over bodybuilding, and then Rep over Titan. So for example, Rep received about 74-75% of the votes last year in towards the end of the year, and then earlier in the year, they actually only had 69% of the votes. So we saw it go from 69 to 75 all the way up to 82% this time. So that's an interesting one, not something that a lot of people would probably be too surprised at, with Rep continuing to get even more popular. Powerlifting continues to get more popular as well. So it is also up from beating bodybuilding in 2021 as well by a decent amount. So for example, that went from 57 to 62%. Where did the leads decrease? The Rogue Rack over the Rep Power Rack decreased, and then the Power Bar over the multi-purpose bar decreased slightly as well. That one was relatively close. That was a lot. I just spit out. I guess like if you guys don't have any that come to mind, the few things that really stood out to me, the rep lead over Titan continues to go even higher. You can also see like the popularity of powerlifting going up, like almost with any of these surveys that we do. I thought it was interesting. There was really no change to last time, but the fact that more people chose power bars over multi-purpose bars was pretty interesting. Kind of just tells you who our audience is. But anyways, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm really curious. So Rep has done a really good job marketing their new changes. But if I recall, in 2021, Titan did a video where they said that they were going to come out with a whole bunch of new stuff like stay tuned, brace for impact type of video. And we haven't seen that yet. And so I wonder if Titan is just kind of biding its time and getting all of its cogs lined up, and then maybe they're going to execute on something later this year. I am curious to see what kind of stuff they're going to come out with, but I'm not surprised at Rep's lead just based on how active they've been. They've been putting out new products. They've been teasing the new products. They've been showing them. We're all trying to figure out what the special deadlift bar, feature is, that kind of stuff. They've done a really good job. So I'm not surprised that they're ahead. Now, I do feel like there's some kettlebell purist out there who's like super pissed off right now because he's wondering why everybody wants to use dumbbells all the time, which is fine. They probably use words functional fitness a lot. But other than that, nothing really surprised me too much, except for I do agree that I was a little bit surprised over the power bar versus the hybrid bar or the multi-purpose bar. I'm happy that powerlifting is becoming more and more popular. I think garage gym competition probably has a little bit to do with that, increasing the accessibility to, like an introductory type of powerlifting meet. And I'd be curious to see if that's maybe a root cause of that.
Yeah. Speaking on the Rep over Titan numbers, it is interesting. Rep seems to be building more and more quality items. They have a little bit higher price tag, but they grow in popularity and they've really secured a name for themselves, like in the market. Meanwhile, like if you haven't ever bought anything from Titan, you get flooded with emails. So their strategy is the flash deals. That's what I've noticed, at least. So being in the email chain, they will throw flash deals at you daily. And just because I love gym equipment, I'm always clicking, and it is pretty enticing watching things drop $150 each time. You're like, oh, well, maybe I do need that. So, and then of course they have the plate loaded kind of commercial equipment that people are looking to bring into their gym just to add some variety. So yeah, just watching those two attack the market in different ways has been interesting.
Yeah. And then one of the things I should have said in the highlights was that the basement gym did make up some ground on the garage gym. So like in 2021, 79% voted garage gym, whereas only about 71% voted garage gym. So I think that'll be one to keep an eye on. All right, let's move on to a repeat survey that we did from last year. And it's really just a list of 22 different companies, more of the popular companies. And we simply asked, do you own anything from them? So nearly 83% own something from Rogue, which is crazy. That's really high. And it's a lot larger than anybody else. Titan and Rep were second and third. They both had more than 50%. And then AdMat was an easy fourth with about a third. If you're looking at the chart, you can see that there's also about 10 out of 22 of these companies have less than 10%. And then those with 5% or below, I would consider niche companies. So we have like Kettlebell Kings, Go Strong, The Strength Co., who's, they're pretty much selling bars and plates. And then Force USA with all-in-one trainers. So we have some comparison data, but before we go into that, does anything here stand out to you?
I was going to say just the size of Rogue's catalog. It kind of makes sense that they have the highest number. 82% is very high. But then again, if you're looking for anything from wrist straps to plates and bars, dumbbells, you name it, you could probably find it in Rogue's catalog. And they have that giant name behind them too.
Yep, agreed. And it's interesting as well because there's other companies like AbMat, for instance, which is in about a third of gyms, is carried by Rogue Fitness. And I'm trying to see if there's any other brands here. So I do agree that the niche brands, I was actually kind of surprised at the Kabuki number. I'm happy to see that that's high. Alico is a little bit higher than I thought it would be, assuming that these are garage gym owners that are responding to these surveys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty impressive to have about 10% of people with Alico equipment. That's really wonderful equipment. But
yeah, something.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, something I was going to mention on the next slide is just it's important to keep in mind who's answering these questions again. It's the most passionate home gym owners that you'll find. And yeah, I do think like the fact that 9% own Alico, Sorinex was also about 10%. I mean, I do this for a living and I don't even really consider adding anything from either of those companies just because it's so pricey. You know, I'd love to, but it's hard to make that argument to add it to a home gym.
Can we talk about the Strength Co's numbers? I cannot wait until you run this like a year from now and to watch that number possibly grow. I really think that one's going to take a huge jump.
Yeah, let's talk about it in the next slide. Real quick, right before I do that, it's pretty impressive that Bells of Steel is two companies. So Bells of Steel is above companies like Body Solid, American Barbell, PRX, you know, that with maybe stronger brands. So that's pretty impressive. And then also a company that we just really don't talk about as much in the home gym space, but have like dominated their niche with over the past, I don't even know how many years, 10, 20 years, is Elite FTS. So they were in fifth here with 19% of the votes. So interesting there. And then, yeah, let's talk about changes. So I mentioned we did this survey last August, actually. So it's been 7-8 months since we've done this survey. In terms of percent change, the Strength Co was the largest mover up. So they went up 101%. I mean, granted, it's going from like 2-point-something% to, I think the last slide said 4.7. So granted, they have a smaller number, but they were up the most. Kurt, you mentioned you were surprised that Kabuki was up as well. So they had the second largest movement. And then rounding out the top five were Bells of Steel, Go Strong, who had a smaller number to begin with as well, and then Rep. And then I'll say Titan was sixth. And then Titan actually had the highest percent difference. So they went from something like 44 to 57. Those down on this list, PRX, GetRX, Force USA, again faster, and then Kettlebell Kings. Honestly, not surprised by that. Those went down versus those that went up.
Yeah, people like Force USA and Kettlebell Kings, it's like once you buy them once, it's not like a return thing. Like if I buy an all-in-one trainer from Force USA, like I'm set. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if I go buy something from like Rogue Fitness, a lot of times like you're going to revisit, and kettlebells as well. Like I feel the same way. Once you grab your kettlebells, it's not like you're going back to like continuing to buy kettlebells.
Yeah.
I wonder how well this lines up with PRX's numbers as well. So I paid a little bit more attention to them after you had them on the podcast, and I couldn't help but notice that. So one, I have an opinion. This is opinion, not a fact, but I think that most people that buy a PRX foldable wall unit, they're one of the only groups of people. I think that they most often actually fold their rack back up. I think that people that have the fold-out style racks from Rogue, Titan, I don't recall if Rep has that. I find that most often I see those and they just kind of stay out. So now what PRX is doing is it looks like they're starting to make dedicated rack spaces, and I think that they're marketing it as like, hey, you bought the fold-down rack, now you need the power rack, you know, like expand your gym, expand your space. So I'd be curious to see, one, how do their sales numbers, just out of curiosity, look versus your survey? So are they going up? Are they going down? And two, will this change in the coming months or throughout 2022? Are we going to see PRX maybe take a little bit more of a jump on a survey like this?
Yeah, when I think of PRX, I think of them having a phenomenal business, but not necessarily an exact match for this audience. They must dominate people who go in searching space-saving rack or fold-away rack, and they're the people that want the best quality. So they most likely aren't looking for deals. They just want to find something that has the best quality and the reputation of something that's really simple to use. So they have a niche. It's not necessarily guys in their 20s and 30s, which are primarily the people that we talk to. You know, they're getting a lot of the parents, parents who, older people, maybe I would say 40s, women. Yeah, I think they have a higher income customer base. And then also just, more, not necessarily into the strength sports, I guess, as well.
Probably people that park in their garage like some fools,
I'm parked in my garage right now, parked right here.
I mean, it's hard to, like I said, I think they have a phenomenal business. It's just one of those that don't necessarily align. And then in terms of their power racks coming out, I think they have a lot of work to do. I mean, it's hard to say like, oh, you guys are doing it wrong, but they seem like it's a little late to the party unless they have some tricks up their sleeves. So they're going to have to come out with some real innovation to like truly compete against like Rep and Rogue, who have been advancing these products for a while now. But I think like if PRX can add some of those new attachments that people are looking for these days to their foldaway racks, that would be huge, especially for people that already have the PRX racks. And then also like PRX does a really good job of like doing all of their other products. It's like most of their stuff is wall attachments, and they have a solid variety of stuff that you can add to the wall. So that's what I would say about that. Would you say there are any companies on this list that we should be on the lookout for? Adam, you said Strength Co. Or companies that aren't on this list. I mean, keep in mind, these are like the companies that are the largest already. So the fact that 5% of the audience owns something is still quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add necessarily. There's a lot of smaller companies they're very niche. So like Plate Snacks, very niche stuff. Micro Gains, very niche stuff. Even like Bear Steel Equipment, even though they have barbells now, they seem to be increasing their library of stuff. It's pretty niche, and a lot of that is white label product. So they do machine the pins and such, but those are kind of hard to capture, I guess. I mean, you could just ask it, but
yeah, we could do something with a lot of those companies you mentioned. It'd be really interesting to see, but they probably would all have low numbers. But it'd be a good way to like introduce people to them. So that might be something we can do in the future. Have an episode about niche companies.
Yeah, the two on this list, I think Strength Co is going to make some big jumps whenever you do this again. AdMat as well. They have a pretty hefty percentage, and I can only see it going up. They continue to add to their catalog and have some very unique pieces that are made, I think, for the home gym community. So I think those two are going to do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how much of the AdMat portion is just the AdMat. Like just about every CrossFitter, for example, has an AdMat in their home.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. And then one more stat is just showing how much the big four on this list did dominate. So this chart that you see is just a look at all yeses. So say there were 1,000 yeses, for example, and Rogue had 21.5%. That means they would have had 215 yeses. So in general, the big four received 58% of all of the yeses, and the remaining 18 companies had 42%. So it just shows to you how large some of these companies are, at least within the home gym market. Pretty interesting. Kind of sad.
Absolutely.
Kind of sad.